Welcome to the Nerd Party.
Maximum more. Punch it. Punch it.
Punch it, Bishop!
Punch it.
Punch that shit!
Let's punch it.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Punch It, episode 37. I'm your co-host, Tristan Riddell, and with me, as always, is...
Charlene Schmidt.
Now, I just want to say, okay, I never get tired of listening to our theme. I really don't.
I so wish that we would have recorded ourselves just now because we were listening to the theme as we were getting pumped up to punch it, as we do. And we're kind of developing this little dance routine of things that we do during the theme. It's quite entertaining. I think for the future, we ought to do that at some point because you guys, I got to tell you, you're missing out.
Like, seriously, like we're staring each other in the face and just mouthing the words to our
Pretty
theme.
much.
It gets me pumped up. And one thing that I feel like I'm very proud of with us, and something that we've talked about before, and a lot of people have talked to us about, a lot of listeners and even people in our own party have told us, whatever topic we are discussing on Punch It, one thing is we give them is energy. Whether we're entertaining or not, we're going to be giving you energy. And so we pride ourselves in that. So we thank you so much for listening. You guys are the best. You're great. We have some great listeners. And we just want to say at the top of the show, thank you. And if you're interested in our back catalog, go to thenerdparty.com/punchit. If you're interested in talking with us, go to thenerdparty.com/contact, select Punch It from the drop-down menu. Fill out the form. It'll send an email right to us. You can find us on Twitter at @JoinNerdParty. And you can also find us on Facebook, where there's a whole bunch of conversation going on there at facebook.com/thenerdparty. Now, Shar, I am excited about today because this is something very near and dear to my heart, and I know it is with yours. Because this is a writing and pop culture podcast, and what we're talking about today involves pop culture. And what is that?
Well, we are going to talk about strong women in film, on TV, in literature, in comic books, wherever we want to pull from. And I think in the process of this, we're going to define what is a strongly written female character, because there's examples everywhere of this being done very well as really freaking horrible and everywhere in between.
That's right. And I'm glad that you worded it that way. Strongly written female characters. Not necessarily strong female characters, as in they could kick your ass, but strongly written, as in well-written.
Yes, there is a big difference. We don't necessarily need women to be throwing a punch or drop kicking someone to be a strong character. There's many ways to define this, and so I'm hoping is I've made my list, you've made yours. We're going to go through them and exchange why we chose the characters that we did, and I'm hoping through that we have several examples of why we have why on the spectrum of what makes a strong person can be a lot of things. And, I'd like to think that we know what we're doing just enough to show just how well-rounded this type of thing can be. And one thing that I think is important to acknowledge right at the top is that one thing that you need out of any good, believable character, no matter whether it's male, female, whatever, you need somebody who's real. That means somebody who's well-developed and has a whole array of thoughts, emotions, and behavior.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the thing, is that I feel like the pendulum swings as with anything, like you have extremes in one area of, in order to have a woman in your book or in your TV show, they need to be domestic. And then the pendulum swings the opposite way. And it's like, in order to be considered a strong female character, you have to be that person who can break a Klingon skull in half. No, there is so much middle ground to what it means to be a female character in pop culture. That's a great place to explore. There's so much stuff in between, and like you said, it has to be real, or at least even though like you and I live a lot in sci-fi and fantasy, Even
yeah.
if we're dealing with dragons and gods and whatever else that's mythical or fantastic, the motivations have to be real. The characteristics have to be real, at least rooted in realistic and logical decisions.
Yes, it must be real for that world, especially in sci-fi, which, as you said, we are such big fans of, and that's going to be apparent probably with my list more than I care to admit right now. And I mean, there are so many strong examples of females on TV, on shows that I've not watched at all, and so of course I've just got to go off of what I've watched. Some of these things that we've mentioned on the show before, others I'm going to try and take you by surprise. We shall see. But I want to also, before we get into our list, I just want to say this is not just applicable to women. I need believable men too. I need a believable universe. I need it all to make sense, or I'm kind of out. I don't know about you. So I don't know. We are focusing, I think, maybe on women just because this does seem to be a bit of a struggle, especially with Hollywood productions and whatnot. You mentioned a pendulum. Yes, you can go from one extreme to the other, and they especially seem to have difficulty with this with women, and especially women of color. And speaking of which, that is one reason why I'm so excited for Star Trek Discovery, because finally, I think we are going to see some strong women of color in the spotlight. So that's going to be fantastic. And so this is kind of an evolution where we've seen a lot of progress. We have more to go. But yeah, it's constantly happening.
It's true, and it's like we've talked about this a lot on our previous podcast together that was centered around Star Trek Voyager, and it was hard not to talk about strong female characteristics when you had so many in one show. You right at the top, let's just talk about Star Trek Voyager, because we had Janeway as the captain, we had B'Elanna in engineering, we had Seven of Nine wherever in science and whatnot in the astrometrics lab, and then
wherever she wanted to be. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and we had Kes in the med bay and sick bay and everything like that. And so we talked about feminism a lot. We talked about strong female characters a lot on that show. And you're a feminist. I'm a feminist. I was raised by feminists. I know that people in your life are feminists, and it's just, this is something that we pride ourselves in talking about because it's fun to talk about and it needs to be talked about. And feminism is not just about elevating women, it's about equality between men and women and other genders. And it's just so much fun to talk about, and I love that we're talking about it today. And you'll see, even though we're both big readers, and whether that's novels or short stories or even fan fiction, I feel like I put that in there just for you.
Thank you.
I kind of on my list, I kind of am leaning more towards TV and film. I mean,
Me too.
It's hard for me not to. I mean, there's so many great novels and books out there and comic books out there with just fantastically written women and women of color and everything like that. But my heart is in TV and film, especially right now. and yeah, so it's you're going to see that kind of pop out.
Okay, well, fair enough. And actually, looking at my list, I have more literary characters than I realized. However, these are characters from either TV shows that came from books or the movies, what have you, but there are book versions as well as AV versions. Why did I say AV?
AV versions? Hey, audio visual, it works. It works. Don't knock yourself. Don't knock yourself in the lead.
My brain is not quite functioning on all the cylinders today. So if I say something that just does not make sense, please keep going and move on.
Okay, so how about we just go ahead and get started? I mean, this is not a list. This is not a ranking. This is not 10 to 1, 1 to 10, or anything like that. This is just a discussion. That's all that this is. And so we have a few people written down. But I in no particular order, I just want to talk about one of my favorites, and that's Leslie Knope from Parks and Recreation.
Okay, you have been begging me to watch this show. I'm really sorry that I have not watched it. I know. I'm bowing my head in shame right now. I'll get there. Give me a couple of years. There's just so much media to be consuming in any form these days. It's hard to really pick and decide, okay, I'm going with this one.
I'm not even going to talk about it because we've talked about it so many times about how you need to watch the show, and because I'm a close friend of yours, you need to take my advice over others. But
and I do.
Regardless, Leslie Knope, the reason why she's so well written is she's a protagonist of the show, and she's surrounded by strong characters and also strong female characters. And she herself, Leslie Knope herself, is a feminist and is in politics and is all about empowering women inside and outside politics. And several storylines are about her, breaking through the glass ceiling of politics. And, there's this wall in City Hall that is just filled with white men, of people who have served their term. And she walks by it often in the show. And she talks about how she often dreams of putting her own picture on there and being the contrast and being the standout. And it's a really fun journey to witness. And she also has this thing called Galentine's Day, which is the day before Valentine's Day, where she gets together with all of her female friends and talks about female empowerment and focuses on female friendship and how you don't necessarily need a man in order to complete yourself. And there's a lot of laughs, and it's done tongue in cheek, but there is that message there. And I'm not just mentioning her because her character is a feminist. It's that she is so well written because Amy Poehler, who is the actor who portrays her, had a lot of influence on her own character, and she was great friends with the creator as well as the head writer, and they all wanted this character to succeed, obviously, and they wanted her to be a strong representation of a driven politician, but also someone who could throw back a few drinks, who had time to date, and who was a geek. Who was an overachiever, but very relatable to people who have those characteristics. And so Leslie Knope, all the way. I think if you are looking for a great series that has a female lead that focuses on female empowerment, but doesn't necessarily knock you over the head with it because that's not the mission, quote unquote, mission statement of the show, even though it is the mission statement of the character, check out Parks and Rec.
That sounds very good. When I do, and not if, when I do watch the show, I have a feeling I will gravitate toward this character quickly. She will become endearing almost immediately. She sounds like somebody that I'd actually want to hang out with in real life, which that makes for a relatable character. That's great. I would love to just sit and have a vodka-flavored vodka drink with her, and we can discuss feminism and politics or what have you. I mean, cool. Let's do it. That sounds fantastic. Now, one interesting thing, and I imagine our lists are very similar in this way, a lot of these fantastic, empowered characters, these complete characters, come from people who are strong portraying them. Mm-hmm. Yes? I mean, that kind of sounds... I don't know tons about Amy Poehler, but that sounds exactly like who you're talking about here, is somebody who is going to fight for what they think is right and doesn't suffer fools very well. And darn it, she will get what she wants.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which unfortunately have to do. As a woman, you have to fight harder for what you want to get heard and actually make it happen. It's unfortunately just a fact.
How about you throw somebody off of your list? Who, when we talk about well-written characters, female characters, who pops into your head? Who popped into your head when I pitched this idea to you?
The very first person I thought of, interestingly enough, was Hermione Granger from the Harry Potter series.
I was wondering if I thought about this person, and she almost made it on my list, but then I was just like, nah, she'll probably get mentioned.
Yeah, Hermione Granger from the books, of course, but also the movies, portrayed by Emma Watson, who also is a feminist, is very outspoken about equality and rights, that sort of thing. She's very much an advocate. And her character, Hermione, is wickedly smart. She's got the academic know-how, but she also has common sense, which you don't always find. Sometimes people are very academically book smart, but maybe they lack life skills to navigate through the rigors of life. No, Hermione has all of that. Plus, she does not suffer fools, and she will fight back. And sometimes I just love it when Hermione has such strong, biting words that they throw more than a punch. Hermione is not a physical person. She does not have the physicality, but she knows more than you do. And that is her big advantage. And as that's just, I don't know. I really admire her for that. Also, just because she's in really good company, too. I mean, she has Harry Potter, who some think are the second coming. And that's a tough act to follow. And then, of course, there's Ron, too. He has his own charm. And often she and Ron kind of have at it, which is kind of fun. But she holds her own, is what I'm saying, and does it flawlessly. I mean, it's not an effort for her, even. It's just who she is.
Yeah, this is a great character, and I believe that Hermione is also a great role model for young girls and even young boys. And it's this character, like you said, who's book smart but doesn't lack common sense. I mean, there's so many times you see that character who cannot handle themselves in the real world or cannot handle themselves outside of the classroom unless they have a book in front of them. And she loves books, but yet she can utilize those books to enhance her life. And I really like that about the character. And like you said about Emma Watson, I mean, I think she's great outside of the character as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I would dare say nerds get stereotyped with that whole book smart thing where we are so engrossed in our games and our books and our whatever we're consumed by that we can't get by in real life.
Yes, yes, that's very true.
That's unfortunately a stereotype that, I mean, there's always a grain of truth in a stereotype, but like every other stereotype, it gets taken way too far. Just want to throw that out there since we do have fellow nerds listening to us. This is the Nerd Party Network. So, all of that said, I want to know your next pick.
Well, the next one on my list is someone who I think is very underrated in the Star Trek franchise. And we've talked about her at length, and I'm not talking Janeway. And that's Guinan.
Ah, Guinan. Yes, we love her.
Now, you guys should search by going to thenerdparty.com/punchit and search for our Guinan episode, because we developed a backstory for her, and we got to talk about her a lot, about her attributes and her failings and her benefits and everything like that. And so with Guinan, what I like about her is that she is sensual without being sexual. She is mysterious without being a stereotype. She is an enigma without being a seductress. And it is so great to see that in a character, because she so easily could have been something that she wasn't. She, like Gene Roddenberry, could have asked somebody who said, is like, okay, I want you to be the mysterious bartender, and all of a sudden it's Coyote Ugly. You know?
Right. Yeah.
Now, I know obviously Coyote Ugly was well after this time, but you know what I'm trying to say. You know, like,
No,
she
totally.
could have been that mysterious seductress with the smoky eyes, and you don't know where she comes from, but they didn't go in that direction. They went with the wise, soft, interesting individual who has a sexual side, but they do not overplay her sexuality. You know what I mean? Like, she talks about her past loves and her past relationships. She jokingly comes on to Riker, but yet you know that she could do it if she wanted to.
If she really wanted to, sure.
Absolutely. And just like, there's all these things, and just any time you see, and also just kind of tag on Uhura there, even though Uhura does not deserve to be tagged on to anything, she should be the focus. Seeing black actresses break down stereotypes, especially in science fiction, is something that I love that we have seen in Star Trek, and that we're going to continue to see, as you mentioned before, with Star Trek Discovery. And it's just so great because, like Nichelle Nichols herself said, it's so fantastic to play this part because she's not a maid, you know. And
Breaking
actually, no, I think Whoopi Goldberg said that about Uhura, about when she first saw Star Trek. She was inspired by Uhura because she was on the bridge and she was in a command position, and she was not a maid. She was a black woman and not a mammy. And you know, Uhura inspired Guinan, and Guinan, I'm sure, inspired Star Trek Discovery and beyond. And it's just so great to see these well-written, dynamic characters in Trek. And I'm so happy to be a part of a fandom that prides itself in that.
Absolutely. I love the way that you described Guinan, especially when it comes to breaking the stereotypes of sexuality. Guinan could go after anybody she wants. And unfortunately, a lot of female roles do get broken down to who they're attracting. You know, are they going after the lead male actor? Are they going after secondary characters? It's all about their sex life and who they're dating, and are they going to get together? Aren't they? Are they having babies? Yada, 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 as if that's all that matters. No. But then, I mean, conversely, also, it's not the Sex in the City stereotype either, where just going to be doing whatever you want and blah, 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 blah. No, Guinan was very much her own person who transcended all of that and made it look so incredibly easy, just as it should be.
Yeah, absolutely. And you got
Yeah.
to pride that with Whoopi Goldberg and Gene Roddenberry and everything like that.
Absolutely. Yeah, and no doubt. I mean, the cycle, we've always said representation matters. Well, I mean, Whoopi Goldberg's story is the perfect example of that. Nichols inspired, I cannot speak. Nichelle Nichols inspired her. Whoopi Goldberg has inspired so many, myself included, with Guinan. And of course, we're just going to keep it right on going with Discovery. It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely. So who else is rolling around in your brain as someone you want to talk about?
Okay, this might be maybe a brief one, but I want to mention Daria Morgendorffer from the
show Daria.
From the show Daria on MTV, the spin-off of Beavis and Butthead. Yes. The thing is, if you watch this show, it was incredibly well written. It kind of had some really good social commentary in this show. Even though it was an animated show, even though it was on MTV, it was still incredibly intelligent. They did it right. Because Daria, I mean, yes, she is very much kind of just that blah, 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 I hate everything. Yes, I'm smarter than all of you. Kind of, I don't know, I don't want to stay stereotype, but that's kind of who she was. But the thing is she was a great role model, and portraying high school the way they did, where you kind of, I don't know, I don't want to get too deep into it, honestly, just because I could do a whole episode on that, and maybe sometime we do, but just the way they characterize everybody at this high school, it's a nice reflection, if you're really looking at it, of what it means to be in that age group at that time in your life, what it can mean for different people, whether it's a good time or a bad time, that sort of a thing. It was just really well done. And Daria, being the central character, is just top notch. She's allowed to, I mean, she's her own person, but yes, she does have a crush, that sort of a thing. She's not incomplete, I guess is what I'm saying.
That's a good way to put it. She's not incomplete. She's allowed to have a crush. She's allowed to want a romantic relationship and still be an independent woman. She's allowed all of these things because that's what it's all about. It's about choice. It's about equality. It's about being well-rounded. And good pick. Good pick.
Yeah, I guess, I don't know. I feel like I should articulate just a little more, because what I'm saying is very general without trying to give too much away, and I don't know if you can even find the show anywhere since it's 20 years old, but high school is all about stereotypes, right? So you could easily draw somebody into them, and the point I guess I'm trying to get at is that they really didn't.
Good.
It goes deeper, so that's pretty nice. The things that you would expect out of an animated show and an animated character are not quite all that's to it. So there's that. All right, moving on. What's yours?
Moving on, I want to talk about this because this is an individual. This fictional character is a flawed individual. So many things are wrong with this character. She screws up constantly. She is a good mom as well as a horrible mom, and she's a good friend as well as a horrible friend. She's a good dating partner as well as a horrible dating partner. She's a good daughter as well as a horrible daughter. She's all of these things because that's what humans are, and that's Lorelai from Gilmore Girls.
I knew it!
As soon as I said good mother and horrible mother, you knew exactly who I was talking about.
Well, then you only continued to reinforce it as you went on. I'm like, yep, it's Lorelai. But keep going, because this almost made my list. But I had a feeling you were going to do it.
We talk about Gilmore Girls a lot on this show because, I mean, you're currently doing a rewatch, and we do season recaps every now and again.
Oh, no, not rewatch. I'm watching it for the first time.
Oh, excuse me. You're doing a watch. You're like,
Yeah.
I do rewatches. You're doing a watch for the first time.
Yeah.
And I love doing the season wrap ups with you. So hopefully we'll get to do the next one soon.
I'm working
And
on it.
with Lorelai, she's all the things that I said. There's so many times you watch the show and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so frustrating. Why would you do that? But yet it's not out. Most of the time, it's not outside of character. Like the choices that she makes are sometimes freaking stupid. And yet,
Yeah.
we make stupid decisions as people, as humans. And, like she could have been the angel that never screwed up. She could have been the leave it to Beaver mom, or she could be the bad example mom. Like the on the wrong
Right.
side of town that writers use all the time. But no, she's in the middle because all of us are in the middle. And that's what I love about Gilmore Girls, is because the dynamic of the relationships are always very flawed and complicated and realistic, even if the dialogue sometimes isn't.
Yeah, that's one of the very interesting things about Gilmore Girls is all the dynamics between these people. They are very flawed. They do stupid, horrible things, and you are sometimes screaming at the TV, why? But is it real? Absolutely.
Yes. But since we've talked about Gilmore Girls so much, let's go ahead and move on.
Okay, sounds good. The next person I want to mention is from a show that you do not watch, unfortunately, so bear with me here. That is Tasty from Orange is the New Black.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm
I love Tasty.
going to have to check out for this one.
All right, well, just take a nap or something and I'll talk to our listeners. I love Tasty because, like a lot of the characters on the show, she has had a very tough life. I mean, the best that she could have happened to her growing up is that she got taken in by a drug dealer. But nevertheless, somehow she is still wicked smart, and she is a great organizer. She is often the brains behind big plans, and you saw that a lot in the latest season. I mean, she is the one trying to carry off the negotiations. And I don't want to say anything more than that because it is still so new. I'm sure there's people out there who I would spoil it if I kept going. So that alone says a lot about her and her resilience and her abilities. She has a gift for being a really good communicator and being an organizer, getting people behind her cause and actually being able to execute somewhat. And she is also really good at just managing people. Like this lady, when she gets out of prison, she needs to be in HR or something. She's really good at handling a variety of situations. Like she knows how to effectively deal with Crazy Eyes, who has the mentality of a 6-year-old. That's pretty difficult when this is an adult woman we're talking about. But no matter how crazy things do get inside the prison and with the people in it, she handles it. And she is always the one who, I don't know, she just really shines. The crazier things get, the better she is. She steps up. So I really admire that character for that.
Well, it sounds fantastic.
That's all you got to say about that. Fair enough. I know I'll never get you to watch the show, so why don't you tell me your next pick?
This is a character that I fell in love with at a young age, and it's someone who I mourned when her character died, and I'm not giving anything away, and when I reveal that, you'll understand why. And it's a character who could be strong but girly at the same time, quote unquote girly.
Uh-huh.
And it's a character who loved to be in love, but still would kick a man's ass if he insulted her. And that is Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
I had a feeling this was going to make your list.
I had posters of her all around my room, and so many people, people who were allowed to enter my nerdy room when I was younger and a kid. So many people would see like the Buffy poster, the Gilmore Girls poster, and the Charmed poster. And they're like, oh, you just have these posters up because you like staring at attractive women. I'm like, no, these are amazing characters and well-written female characters. And that is why they're on my wall. I was like, I have an Angel poster and a Star Wars poster up here. It's not because I love looking at Luke Skywalker, and that goes the same for Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And so because of that, it's so exciting to see this character work, because at the time she was a walking contradiction. Now, I'm not saying she actually was. She was perceived as a walking contradiction because she was imbued with supernatural powers. She could have a lollipop and just get back from the mall, but then stab a vampire in the heart and do 15 flips backwards.
I gotcha.
And I love that they did not make her masculine. I feel like there's so many times where people feel like they have to make a character masculine in order to make her strong. And that's not what they did with Buffy the Vampire Slayer. That's not what they did with Buffy Summers. And this character was created by Joss Whedon. And, like with so many of his shows, he was a champion for the female character who could kick ass, but not necessarily have to be masculine or need a man in order to complete herself. And this was a great time for this show to come out. And I watched it when I was in high school, and it helped shape my view of what female characters could be like. And it was just like, she'll always be a beacon of great female characters in my fiction enjoyment.
Nice. Now, I've not watched Buffy. You know that, but our members of our audience might have not, especially if you're a new listener. And if you are, hi, thanks for joining us. Buffy sounds awesome. Sounds like somebody who, like, you could be chilling with your best friend, but you know that she could totally protect you if you were in a fight, which
Absolutely.
is pretty cool. Yeah, that's fantastic. I love what you said about, like, she doesn't need the man to complete her, that sort of a thing. God, how many times do writers back themselves into a corner, especially with a female lead with that?
Well, there's a really, really interesting story in Buffy with season 2 and season 3 where her main love interest, I mean, like, she connects with her love interest on the most intense level that you could ever possibly imagine. And they are crazy in love. And then something happens, and it's about her dealing with that loss and dealing with those emotions where she breaks down, she goes into a depression, and she is forced to do things she doesn't want to do. I'm trying not to spoil anything. And believe me, I did not spoil a single thing with saying that I mourned her when she died. But it's just, there's this emotion with her needing her lover and needing him with her and in her arms and in her life, but then having to reject him and move on at the same time. It's okay to go through these emotions. It's okay to need someone, but still be okay without them. Like, I'm trying.
Yeah.
It's common for us to say, oh, she doesn't need a man, and so she can take or leave that relationship. That's okay if that's how the character feels, but at the same time, you can still yearn for someone and want them in your life without having them complete you.
Yes. Thank you for articulating that, because it's, I think, a little different than maybe what I was saying earlier. Like, yes, many characters, when they need to be strong, they don't need a man to complete them, that sort of a thing. That isn't what I was saying at all, because if this sort of naturally happened where she did fall in love, it doesn't necessarily complete her, but it enriches her life, which is what we all want in our lives. And the fact that she had to go through the mourning process and basically learn to live life without that person, that is also very real and very emotional. And I'm glad that she was able to kick and scream and cry through that process to show it and portray it. That does not mean she's weak either. That is also very real. And that's not something that gets portrayed on screen hardly at all. That's awesome. That is freaking awesome. So, and I
think so too.
Yeah. I mean, that's something I really wish, just going back to Star Trek for one moment, that I wish they would have done a little bit more with Janeway. Yeah. They really struggled to figure out how to write Janeway as a strong woman without A, making her too masculine, and then B, yes, she had this guy back home and now it's gone and there's loneliness there. She's carrying this crew and this ship on her shoulders. I don't know. They sort of edged on portraying that burden, but this sounds much more complete. This sounds much more relatable and understandable than what we got to see on Voyager, unfortunately. Because could you imagine if they'd done it properly on Voyager, how powerful that would have been?
It's true. I think they had their moments. They definitely won in a few moments, but they could have explored it a whole lot more, exactly like you said.
Right, yeah. They tried, they got so far, but they didn't quite nail it.
All right, so throw some more at me. We're going strong, so let's go ahead and continue strong.
I want to throw what might be a curveball. I'm not sure. I'm approximately halfway through watching this series, so please, if you talk to me about this show online, if you send in an email or whatnot, no spoilers, please. And I'm talking about Offred from Handmaid's Tale. It's a book that was written in 1985, which I have not read. I might go back and read it. I don't know. But I'm going through the series on Hulu, and holy wow. This is an interesting universe I don't want to live in. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's messed up.
It's a little messed up, and I don't want to give too much away because this is a very new series, but it's a dystopian future set into the not terribly too far future, and it's kind of a what if we had a really kind of totalitarian government take over and basically relegate women to being, if you're capable, breeders. I mean, that's it. So Offred is the main character of the story, and as frightening and almost sometimes as grotesque and off-putting as this world is, and watching it, because I've cringed many times, I'm not sure if I could handle living in it. Her resilience is admirable at this point of where I'm watching in the series, and she is not losing her true self in this world either, and that has got to be a really difficult thing to manage when she's in survival mode as well. She has to keep existing and finding a way, and especially where there's one scene I do want to mention just a little bit about. I don't want to give too much away, but there is a scene where Offred sacrifices her own chance at freedom with one of her friends so that her friend can escape life as a handmaid. And honestly, I mean, how many of us would do that in that situation, be so selfless knowing that your friend could escape if you give in, and therefore you are kind of just I don't know, throwing yourself to the wolves in terms of your punishment and what that means for you. Wow.
Yeah, it is a messed up show. It is a messed up story. It's very crazy. I think I have one of my uncles can't watch the show. Like, his therapist told him to not watch the show because it gave him so much anxiety and it pissed him off so much, especially with, stuff that's going on around the world and in our own backyard. He just couldn't handle it. He got so wound up that he couldn't fall asleep that night after he watched an episode. And
I can see why.
Crazy.
I mean, it's a very strong message of what could happen if things really go off the rails in our not too distant future. That is what really frightens me. It gives me anxiety too. Now, I have the disconnect of, okay, that is TV, but I can totally see, yeah, we let things really get out of hand. This could actually happen, and that's frightening.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's another one?
Another one from me is from the literary world, but also as well as movies, and that's Amy Dunn from Gone Girl.
Ah, okay.
Okay, so now this might perk up a lot of people's ears because a lot of people have described Amy Dunn's character and Gillian Flynn's portrayal, the author Gillian Flynn's portrayal of Amy Dunn, as misogynistic because she is the wife who is, some would say, a stereotype where she's cool. She's the cool girl on the surface, but underneath she's crazy. Like she's, she's just the crazy woman that men will write off. Like when they break up with their girlfriends, all they have to do is just say, "Man, she was crazy," and then like other guys are just like, "Okay, you don't need to say anything else." And so people took this character, the surface level of this character and of the story, and ran with it and said, "This is misogynistic," and that is not the case at all. And I want to read I want to read a quote from Gillian Flynn about this character.
Do it.
And she said, to me, that puts a very, very small window on what feminism is. Is it really only girl power and you go girl and empower yourself and be the best you can be? For me, it's also the ability to have women who are bad characters. The one thing that really frustrates me is this idea that women are innately good, innately nurturing. In literature, they can be dismissibly bad, trampy, vampy, bitchy types, but there's still a big pushback against the idea that women can be pragmatically evil, bad and selfish. I don't write psycho bitches. The psycho bitch is just crazy. She has no motive, and she is a dismissible person because of her psycho bitchiness. And I love that quote because that's the thing. A.B. Dunn is pragmatically evil. She is unhinged, but she is, you can say crazy, but not stupid. And so Gillian Flynn plays on that stereotype, that misogynistic stereotype, and makes her powerful in her pragmatism. And that is why I love this character, because it spins it on its head. It's a character that men hate, and it's a character that women hate. And it's because she's an evil character.
Well, and we're not supposed to like the evil characters, right?
Exactly.
Even with an anti-hero, you at best love to hate them, like a Walter White. And it should not matter if it is a man or a woman. I think women oftentimes, if they are going to be portrayed bad, they are the psycho bitch from hell, or they're just completely, they're the tramp, they're the whore, what have you. They're doing horrible, horrible things, right? Or conversely, they're the Mary Sue, and they're perfect, and they have to be strong because they can do anything. No, that's not good either.
Yeah, exactly. And so any of you who have not read the book and are just, or haven't even seen the movie and just taking the character on face value, I definitely recommend reading the book. It is a fantastic book, as well as the audiobook. The audiobook is just a great source of acting and good storytelling. Oh, also, total side plug for people who are listening to this show. I narrated an audiobook.
You did. We got to mention this.
Yes, please, everybody, check it out. It's you can find it on my website at tristanriddell.com, and you can also find it on Amazon and iTunes and Audible. It's called Reddened Wasteland by Kyle Perkins, and it is a sci-fi post-apocalyptic story set on Mars. It's crazy. But it's the first audiobook that I've ever narrated, especially professionally, and it was a lot of fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoy it. And if you would like to support me, please go purchase said audiobook, and you'll have a good time.
Right on. That is exactly what I'm going to do this week, because I am scheduled to fly out and visit my family on Friday, right before this episode drops, or right after, rather. And I'm going to need some entertainment while I'm in that plane. So I'm going to get the audiobook and I'm going to listen to it on the way over.
Aw, thanks. Be cool. You're like welcome. Shar, everybody.
That's right. Be cool like me.
All right. Okay, so we're kind of rounding third here. So what's Ooh. You want to give one last one or a couple ones or whatever you want to do?
How about if I do a couple of honorable mentions?
I think that's good. Brief. I'm going to do a list after you're done. I'm just going to say, this is cool, this is cool.
Yeah, kind of like lightning round. Just name them off. If you know the character, you're going to understand why. Okay, Dr. Gillian Taylor from Star Trek 4.
Really? Cool.
The woman knows how to get you-know-what done. Love her.
Nice pull.
Claire freaking Underwood. Again, maybe a little more even than we even know at this point, depending on how the series is turning. I mean, she's intelligent. She's calculating. Yeah, big stuff there. Dana Scully / Gillian Anderson, because Gillian Anderson has been a big advocate, especially lately, outspoken for things like equal pay and whatnot. Go her. I love her. Also, Kate Mulgrew, yes, she played Janeway, but she also plays Red on Orange is the New Black, a very flawed but also very strong and beautifully written and portrayed character. That's my list.
Fantastic. Yeah, Claire Underwood and Dana Scully are on my list as well. Of course, Janeway,
cool.
too. And so, yes, that is a very, very cool list that you have. Mine is a little bit longer, so I'm just going to go even faster. So,
do it.
Peggy Olson from Mad Men totally crashing through the glass ceiling and just like really owning her own destiny. We got Maria from The Sound of Music just because she's cool and she breaks all the stereotypes about nuns and also women back in the day. And Xena, I don't even need to say anything about Xena.
Yeah,
we got Mulan, 11 from Stranger Things.
Yeah.
Ripley, of course, from the Alien franchise. This character is so amazing that I named my daughter after her. And Princess Leia from Star Wars. I know you and I disagree about that, but you're wrong. And and to finish out one that is just recently on my list, and that's Moana.
Who?
Moana from Moana.
Okay, I've not watched. Nope. Tell me more.
You haven't even heard of Moana? Mm-mm. It's a Disney film with The Rock. Takes place in old Hawaii, or like the Hawaii, like not Hawaii, but like around the islands, and it's all Polynesian.
Okay, no. I am out of the Disney loop, apparently. I have no idea that this has happened. Like, the last thing I heard about Disney was Frozen, and I'm well over that.
Well, Moana is kind of the new Frozen. Like, it takes the place of Frozen in kids' minds. It's a great story. It's kind of a 45-minute story stretched to 90 minutes.
Okay.
But the songs are amazing, and the lead character, Moana, is a strong, independent thinker, and she is just an amazing singer. And it's seriously, check it out. It's on Netflix. It's free. If you have the subscription.
Well, if it's on Netflix, that makes life a lot easier. I will remember to check that out. Okay, how did I have no idea that was even a thing? Wow. That's just how much is out there these days. You can completely pass by a complete fandom, and it's nothing. That's amazing.
All right, so there you go. That's our show. We already gave you all the places that you can find us, but just if you missed that or if you weren't paying attention, shame on you. You can just go to thenerdparty.com for everything that you could possibly consider, all of our social media networks, as well as all of our episodes. Shar, where can we find you on Twitter?
You can find me at the Profanity. Where can they find you?
You can find me at The Insane Robin. And I cannot wait for you guys to listen to us next week, because we are going to punch it.
Ready for warp, sir. Let's punch it.
Join the revolution. Join the Nerd Party.